What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 72 of the Hideout, where we are going to be talking about Web3 gaming and the Metaverse with another incredible panel. Really excited for this one. For those of you who don't know me, I am Nick Frontera. I am the CEO of Apollo Entertainment and one of the co-founders, and also the project lead for Satoshiverse and the 2029 or Legion's 2029 game. For those who don't know about Legion's 2029 and what we're building in Satoshiverse, I definitely recommend you check out the pinned tweet, the first pinned tweet at the top of the spaces. I'll give a real quick introduction, and then I definitely want to jump into introductions of our guests because we have an awesome stacked panel today, and I know people are going to be trickling in. So, to start, Satoshiverse, we founded it about 4 years ago, originally as a comic superhero collaboration with the infamous Jose Delbo, who was a 50-year veteran working for DC and Marvel, doing comics like Transformers, Wonder Woman, and a whole load of other superheroes that we know and love. Together, we created one of the first Bitcoin-themed superheroes and started building an amazing community around this story of Satoshi, who comes back as a superhero to lead a rebellion against the DOF, who are the bad guys in our world. Fast forward 3 years, and for the last 2.5 years, we have been expanding Satoshiverse into a blockchain-themed gaming and a gaming universe and ecosystem with our Legion's 2029 game. Really high-level view, Legion's 2029 is a free-to-play desktop PC game, or a PC game, and it incorporates combat elements from games like God of War with progression elements from RPGs like Diablo and World of Warcraft, all with a roguelike game loop. Again, I think the best way to understand it is either to check out the video at the top or to experience it yourself by downloading it and playing it. We actually just announced today that we are going to be pushing a major content update to that very, very soon, likely next week. And that content update is going to have a ton of new stuff. So free to play, no downside. You know, if you're into Web3 gaming, it's a fully enabled blockchain game. Check it out. But that's where I will end our spiel for now, and we can get into our listeners. The one thing I will point out is that today Spencer will be joining us from the Hideout account, so he'll tell you guys a little bit more about that. But we now have a X account that we are going to be doing some more dedicated content on the show. So as a quick plug, please give that account a follow and make sure to follow all the other speakers up here as well, as always. But definitely follow the Hideout account, as it's a new account and we're trying to get it started. We're going to be doing some awesome content surrounding the show. So let's move to quick introductions. We'll have you guys kind of tell us about yourselves, what you're building, and then we will jump into a series of questions. And then Spencer's going to explain a few things on new giveaway mechanics that we have for this space. So a lot of exciting stuff. Why don't we start with Pixel Realm? Thank you for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit about what you guys are building?
Hello, and thank you very much for inviting us. Great to be here. What are we building? We are basically a Binance Labs-backed launchpad and omni-chain gaming platform. So we are building two of our own games. We are also a gaming studio. Can share more details about the game, and we're also incubator and launchpad, as I mentioned. So we are helping others build or get more investment or funds to build even more or better products. So I would say that's in short about us. You can check out our Twitter. And not only that, we're not doing only that. We're also trying to give our community of like our token holders and like Discord members we're not just about like, hey, just invest into games or buy gaming tokens. We're trying to give them like free mints, special early access into the games, whatever we can, like leverage with our partners to give gamers something they would honestly enjoy. That's what we do to support our community.
Amazing. I love it. And I love the multi-tiered approach to, putting out your own stuff, but also helping your partners. I think that's what's going to make this space really special over the next couple of years as it grows. So super excited to have you guys on and talk through everything that is being built and get into some interesting questions. Let's go over to Golden Tides. But actually, before we do, I just want to say one more housekeeping item. If you want to pin stuff to the top of the spaces, please feel free. We want you guys sharing anything cool that you've got coming up. So please feel free to pin stuff to the top of the spaces. All right, Golden Tides, talk to us.
How's it going? Happy to be here, guys. I guess if you don't know what Golden Tides is yet, it's a new type of video game that we call Adventure MOBA, where you build a crew of fantasy pirates and you head out in a fantasy pirate world with your friends and you hunt for treasure. The only thing is the treasure is real. We're going to be burying NFTs, crypto, other things in the game for people to find. It's kind of like our version of a battle pass where like you would, if you jump into the game and you play enough, you'll earn something back, except for that you can take this stuff on chain.
I love it. Well, that sounds super unique. Definitely want to hear more about that as we dive into the questions. Thank you for joining us. Let's move over to League of Kingdoms.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me clear?
Loud and clear.
All right, cool. Hi, my name is Jay. I'm the community lead of League of Kingdoms. League of Kingdoms is a MMORPG game that has been live for more than 3 years now. We have been one of the, as a MMORPG game, we have emphasized the strengths of the community in our own game. And also for this year, we are actually expanding our universe into a new game as well called League of Kingdoms Chronicle, which is an RPG game. And what we want to achieve is to actually bring our NFTs, major NFTs called Land and Drago NFT into both of the games so that each player from different games can actually have use both NFT in each respectable games and have interoperability between the games. So that's something that we're really excited to venture through this year. And also right now we are also doing some kind of a event with the Carve to support new users to join in. So if you are interested in our game after you listen to this space, feel free to drop by and participate in the event to get you some help on onboarding our game. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Amazing. I love it, and I can't wait to hear more as well, especially, from projects having been in the space and actually working, through this last markets, the couple markets and the waves. I know it's been a definite challenge for us, but it's really great to see people coming out of the other end of this market and still building amazing stuff. So really glad to have you guys on. Let's go over to Tom at Suku.
Hey, thanks for having me. So,
thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it. I feel a little bit naked. I should have joined from our company account. I see everybody else did. So next time I will remember that. But yeah, I'm Tom, head of community at Suku. Essentially what Suku is doing is we're developing an ecosystem of tools designed to better onboard people into Web3 or to give them access to Web3 tools without any of the uncomforts or like without any of the learning curve that comes with understanding crypto, blockchain transactions, and all of that. That started last year with the development of the Suku wallet, which actually allows anybody with a Twitter account to have a wallet, a crypto wallet by default. So like you can send and receive, well, it's for starters, you can send crypto or NFTs to anybody on Twitter without them needing a wallet up front. And so, it doesn't matter if it's their first time you interacting with crypto or their 100th, they don't need a wallet. You can send it to them. They can access it with their Twitter login and manage it from there. And then you can also receive. So, and then you can interact directly on Twitter with our extension where I can hover over somebody's profile picture and I can send them crypto just like that. And so that's how we started. And then we also launched a bot, which is at Suku This, which allows us to do mass NFT distributions on Twitter, just using hashtags. And so we did a campaign last year. We've done a few campaigns, but we did one last year with Polygon and with Rarible, where we were able to, actually that one was early this year, where we were able to have people mint an AI generated NFT directly on Twitter, just using, creating the prompts and the tags in the body of a tweet. And so then we've done that, which was the Gravels mint. We've done a few open editions. We did a commemorative for Polygon's 2.0 migration announcement. And, all of those allow people to just mint directly on Twitter just by tweeting. And then the claiming process is the same. They get a reply from our automated account. And now we've just launched, as of a week or so ago, Suku Pay, which is similar in similar in a sense to Suku Wallet. However, it's not really intended for people that want to engage with more crypto assets. It's more meant to be an improvement in the way we're able to transact with borderless payments without intermediaries, without any blockers, without banks, and allow anybody to use this technology, but without any of the complexities. And so that just uses phone numbers. And so if you have a phone number, you can send USDC on Polygon to anybody in the world just using their phone number. And then, of course, we will be adding on and off ramp to that for globally, currently available in the US. And to kick that off, which kind of ties into the gaming theme here, we launched a campaign, which is One World, $1. And I pinned that above, for anyone interested. And that allows that essentially everybody can participate. And, the goal is to send the $1, which Suku provides, to as many people as you can globally, creating $1 in one chain going back and forth, to as many people as you can globally, with different 36 different prizes, such as the first person to send every country and a continent, and a bunch of other fun stuff. And that has a prize pool of up to 45,000 USDC. And so I'd encourage everybody to check that out and get to experience what it's like to have that, to be able to use crypto in that way.
Incredible. Well, I love, I get really excited about hearing all the new infrastructure that's coming around crypto and on-ramping and really helping kind of smooth the transition between Web2 and Web3, particularly in gaming, and what we're seeing with social wallets and, relayers and just starting to make this experience so much more frictionless, right? And so that sounds like a really innovative use case. I'd love to contact you later because there's some really cool, you got my mind going down a rabbit hole on all the things you could do with a hashtag campaign. So let's definitely talk after the space, see if we can do something cool for our community. Anyway, so, Tom, if you want, just, you don't have to, but if you want to jump in with the company account, we can get you right back on stage if you'd like. Totally up to you.
Sure.
And all right, sweet. So I will now pass the mic to Spencer, who will be hosting the remainder of the show. And I think Spencer is going to tell you guys a little bit about a giveaway that we are doing for this space. So why don't we jump to that, Spencer?
Sure thing. Thanks, Nick. So my name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the business development manager here with Satoshiverse and with Apollo Entertainment. Been working with the team for the last 3 years or so. But yeah, very exciting. We've been running the Hideout on the Satoshiverse account for the last, I guess, 72 episodes now. But we're slowly transitioning now over to this new account on the Hideout, which we're very excited about, kind of breaking out the brand a little bit and making the space, very much dedicated to Web3 gaming and the metaverse. So definitely make sure that you guys give the new account a follow, give it a retweet, because we're really trying to grow this thing right now. But in general, for the giveaway that we're doing right now, which is pinned to the top, the way that we're going to be running our giveaways for our live spaces going forward is we're going to be sending out a tweet right when the space goes live, letting everybody know that we are in fact live. And then all you have to do is repost or retweet that post, and then also be here live at the end of the space when we finish up. So as long as you do both of those things, both retweet and then also be here at the end, then you're eligible to win your prize. So make sure you do that and then stick around to the end of the space. So moving into the format a little bit for the questions here, we're going to start out with a question for everyone. I'll call on someone to start, and then feel free to just jump into the discussion from there. Then we'll move into some individual questions for each of you guys. And then lastly, move into everyone questions again at the end if we have time. But like I said, make sure you stick around to the space for at the end for a chance to win that prize. Okay, so moving into the first question here, and maybe Pixel Ramsey, you can start us off on this one. So in what ways does Web3 technology enable and empower players that weren't possible in traditional gaming?
That's a great question, and I would just like go with what I heard recently with one of our partners. Actually, we did spaces with Polygon, and they're doing something which is called gaming ID. And basically, it's something very similar to, on one level, it works like it tracks your gaming achievements across the games, which is really cool. I'm not sure if you guys been around in like Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era when the achievements just came out, and like I think that was actually when the console gaming went online, and I was just crazy. I played the games. I literally got some games just because I knew that like, oh, I can get achievements, and having this like transferring between the games, between the platforms, I think that's super cool. And also it helps sort of like developers track the behavior of the players, and then like tailor the gaming experience. So like the future it might have is basically how I play one game, another game might adjust its difficulty. Or if it's let's say like multiplayer game, well then, I can play Web3 version of Call of Duty, and when I go play like Web3 version of whatever other good 3D shooter is there. Well, let's just throw in like Fortnite, whatever. There hasn't been many like too good like 3D shooters recently since like Titanfall. So I go play another game, and it automatically matches me with players. So having this kind of like gaming ID, that's something that I wouldn't want as a gamer. So basically the achievements, what I achieved in my games would be sort of like in my NFT, represented in my NFT. And also the games, the developers would tailor gaming and gaming experiences more towards how I play the games. I mean, which is in one word, difficulty, so yeah, that's what touched my heart and got me excited like in past few weeks.
Suku or Golden or League, do you guys have anything to add?
Well, I think I can follow up on that. I think also what's really interesting in the Web3 space in terms of like gaming is that it really connects a lot of like in both ways inside the community of the gamer itself within the game, but also between the game projects and other projects in the Web3. So first of all, for the gamers community itself, we definitely have like a lot more like trades between the users that are transparent, and their like transactions are all, you can check every transactions, even the transactions that the devs actually do for the community is always visible to everyone. So which makes it more safer, and so yeah, basically a safer environment in the communication and the trading between the users. But also what really interests me is always about the collaborations between the projects within the Web3 space, because that's really really a big, strong power in developing the Web3 space in general, is that in the Web3 traditional game world, the game companies they do some collabs, but it's not as like vibrant in what you can see in the Web3 space. In Web3 spaces, we collab with a lot of like different gaming hubs, like marketplaces, and even between the games, like there's a lot of collabs, and it's just, I think, way more interesting and dynamic ecosystem in general as a big space itself. So that's what I love.
Yeah, I can offer a little additional insight. I guess, I totally agree with what's been said. I think, when we think about Web3 and what it brings to gaming, I think the immediate place our mind goes is this transferability of items, right? True digital ownership, what that means for peer-to-peer exchanges, the new systems that are going to be set up around creating marketplaces for digital items. I think there's a ton of potential, and I think right now what we have is just scratching the surface of what we're going to see. We're going to see trading. We're going to see peer-to-peer sales. Everything is coming, and there's lots of different interesting infrastructure companies working on it. And then just to kind of expand on one point that was just made, I agree that collaboration is incredibly, front of mind for projects in this space. And, I think that's awesome. We have seen some collaborations between bigger brands in the Web2 space, but collaboration is kind of in our DNA in the Web3 space. But actually what excites me with the Web3 side is the potential for, some degree of interoperability, whether that be skins or whether that be, aesthetics, clothing, for avatars. As we start to develop standards for digital asset ownership, for model types, for the standard rig for different models of your avatars in different games, it's going to be possible through legal infrastructures to bring things into game without an explicit collaboration. And so what originally got me excited about Web3 back in 2017 when I was working as an IP lawyer was this potential that one day we could have a standard for digital IP, digital assets that's similar to physical assets. And what I mean by that is, when you buy a t-shirt, no one can tell you where you can, wear that t-shirt and where you can take it. And I think, we're still quite a ways away from that being the norm in the digital space, right? Everything currently is a walled garden. But I imagine Web3 opening the door to infrastructure that will allow developers to ensure that their metaverse platform or game complies with certain standards that will allow assets to be brought into their game because of rights conferred through your ownership of that asset itself, and not necessarily through a direct partnership between, two entities. I think we're still quite a ways away from that. I think a lot of standards need to emerge on the technical side and on the legal side, but I think that's what gets me really excited about the future, and I don't think it's possible in the traditional gaming space. I saw a hand up. Was that Golden Age? You want to?
Golden Tides. You can call me the Golden Age. I guess I'm old as fuck.
Golden Tides. Golden Tides.
No, I was just going to comment on my thoughts on the topic, which was like, why is Web3 important for gaming? And what I really believe is that owning your time is really important. I'm from the United States, where maybe it's not as important, but if you go to like developing countries, like they might earn like an extra $10 or $20 a week. That's, a dinner or two for their family. So like I view things a little bit more on what's possible with this. And if people are already going home and playing games and allowing them to own the stuff that they not invest, but purchase, right? Even if it's just down to the base skins, like of a game or the items of a game, allowing people to actually have tangible value in the digital purchases is probably the biggest use case of Web3 in gaming to me. where even if you lose money on a purchase, it's still better than just straight up like purchasing something you have no tangible value in. And a great example of this is Fortnite skins. If you were to buy a Fortnite skin, or you give your son $20 to buy a Fortnite skin, he buys his skin, and then he wants to buy another one. He has to come back to his dad and ask for another $20. So now dad has spent $40, and the kid has played with two skins, and one of them he may never even play with again. The game received $40. Now, add Web3 to this conversation. You come to your dad, you ask for $20 to buy a skin, you buy your skin, you want to buy a second skin because you're kind of done playing with the first one. You now sell the first one for $15, so you lost $5. But now you only have to ask your dad for $5. So dad only has to spend $25. The game still receives $40, and the kid gets to play with both skins. Now, at the fundamental level, this is playing at a loss, right? And you can always open a pack of Pokemon cards to get a Charizard and actually make money, right? There's always the case where that's possible, but at the base form of this, like this is a win-win-win, right? The kid gets everything, the dad saves money, and the game still makes the full price. So I don't see how like Web3 doesn't actually play in at that level, right? A lot of people worry about tokens and profits and all this stuff, but even just at the ground floor of what's possible, like tangible value is the future of Web3 in gaming.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that is kind of the core principle here, right? That there's actual value being created through the ownership of these assets. There's downstream revenue potential. There's just a lot of business models. And I think that's the key, really. If we're gonna have Web3 grow, it's really to establish sustainable business models that allows Web3 to be a value add for the developers. Because when these AAA developers start to integrate Web3, when we have a seamless tech stack, I think that's when we're really going to see real growth of the industry, when major titles are putting Web3 on their back end and, allowing for this potential. But I also wanted to build on a point you made regarding time, right? And I guess one of the things that excites me about Web3 is, in the past, if you wanted to level up a character, there were power leveling services, for example, right? And that was a trust-based
Chinese
system.
farmers from you hook you up on eBay and they get you to level 60.
Exactly. And you don't really need that anymore now, right? Because in theory, you can build a lot of, I think one of the things we're doing that we're excited about is building progression into the NFT metadata. And so, one thing you could do with your time is level up characters and then sell those characters. And that's kind of a direct ROI. And I think that's, it's tricky because you have to build that into the game design. That's not something that you can just add like that, right? You have to really account for the fact that this is going to be possible. But if you do it right, it eliminates a lot of the black market stuff that's already going on, and it allows it to be a value add, this progression, a decentralized pay to progress rather than a pay to win, that I think is the biggest, issue with some of the real money stuff that happens in Web3 gaming. You don't want to create a pay to win dynamic, but the pay to progress model has become, very popular, and there's people who would love that. And so if you essentially pass those abilities to gamers elsewhere in the world, you're able to take advantage of those differences in value over time and cater to a certain audience that may want that, in a decentralized way, which we love. Let's hop over to Pixel Realm.
Yes, one more feature which I really, as you guys mentioned, the digital ownership is like it is not here yet. But if you got the news, like in Star Atlas, like there's some guild which or gaming community which bought like one of the cruisers for like $5 million, and they own it and they can sort of like build within it whatever they want. And if I just thinking about like one day, and I don't know like how is this going to shape out, but let's say there's going to be like Fallout 5, and imagine that you can buy like a big area in I don't know, the New Vegas, or in GTA 6. Like imagine you could buy like an area and rebuild it, and or build like your own sort of like missions or like, so I see like a actual gaming studios building within existing games. Like for me, that sounds quite exciting. Like, okay, we can actually buy parts of the game and we can make something new there. Like we can, or imagine like Fallout would be a great example. Like each gaming guild, like building their own base into the like one, massive and owning actually those assets. It could even be creating like economy. That's crazy. Like, hey, you can rent a tent in our, New Vegas and, or own a house, so this digital ownership, but it has to come to the games which we really care about. So we're really talking about like Fallout, GTA 6 kind of games, which we love with our hearts. And, then like, I think like this kind of like true ownership features would make it way more enjoyable than it already is.
It's been an awesome discussion on this first question here, but in the interest of time, I'd love to move things on to individual questions here. And then just a quick reminder for everyone who has joined us since we started or since we last talked about it, make sure to retweet that post up top that we have pinned that says we're live on the Hideout. And that'll allow you to enter the giveaway that we're doing right now for 5 Satoshi's crystals, which are an in-game resource within the Satoshiverse. So moving on to our first individual question is going to go to Golden Tides. So you guys recently announced that you launched on the Epic Games Store. Congrats for that. So what are some of the biggest challenges and considerations around integrating a Web3 game into a traditional gaming platform like the Epic Games Store?
Well, I would say that Epic is more open to innovation. There's not really too much of a challenges. There's like a box you now check when you upload to Epic Games in the traditional fashion, and that box just says like, is this game a blockchain game? You put yes, and then it adds like basically something that notifies people who are downloading the game that like this game has blockchain elements to it. The bigger issue is actually Steam, where Steam doesn't actually allow anything related to blockchain into their store. They're basically cutting out this portion of the market, taking that approach of, crypto is a scam rather than allowing innovation. So I think it's more interesting of a conversation to talk about Steam and the fact that they're so closed and they're trying to control the market in a certain way, more like dictating what needs to be done versus just allowing people to have more freedom. I think it probably cuts into their bottom line when things happen on chain and not through Steam. So it's definitely a market control thing. But that, to me, that's probably the more interesting part of the conversation. Getting on Epic Games is great. When you're doing Web3, you kind of build a little bit more publicly. So people can see what's going on. They want to participate in the community. So we haven't even entered our true alpha phase, but we've already been putting the game out to our NFT holders so they can, test it out and see it. They leave us great feedback. So overall, the experience with Epic Games, super smooth, really great. I've been enjoying engaging with our community and getting the game in their hands, even though it's not done. And yeah, it's just like, it's a little different of a process for building for Web3 versus Web2, and the fact that people are more open to something unfinished because they're hungry for innovation rather than, being like, oh, this game's not done, I'm going to trash it. Where that's how the Web 2 world has always been. Now we all want finished products. It's just early in this industry. I could elaborate more, but I feel like that kind of covers what the question was.
I'll ask a quick follow-up just out of curiosity, because it's definitely something we've been looking into as well. There was definitely an early narrative with the Epic Games Store that the challenge for blockchain games was the ratings board ratings that were being given to blockchain games. And did you guys find that it was a challenge that I guess for the first several blockchain games that went on the Epic Games Store, they were getting an automatic adult rating? Is that still going on? Do you guys have to go out with the adult rating?
We have a rating issue, but it's actually reversed. We got rated E for everyone, where we actually we want to be rated T for teens, because we have blockchain elements, technically should be 18 plus, right? While there's no regulations, but you do these applications, they review it, and they give you whatever they want. They slap it on, and you have to then appeal. Yeah, and it's it's funny when you get E for everyone, then they're like, "Why are you appealing?" So I don't know. We're just kind of in this process. We're trying to get our pre-alpha done in the next week or two, and then after we do that, we're gonna have to reapply for a more appropriate ranking. But yeah, we didn't get the automatic R or whatever. We got the E. So I think it's kind of just pretty random.
Well, it's good to know that at least in some cases, saying blockchain isn't the automatic adult rating, because that makes distribution obviously very, very difficult in certain countries. So,
well, we have a concern that we might get a post review as they see blockchain and they see the E, and then they take us off the store until we fix it. So we're just, that's what we're concerned about, because without proper regulations, anything crypto has to be 18 plus. It's kind of like opening a bank account, right? You have to be 18 without a parent. So yeah, there's some issues that, we're going to have to deal with, but, it's just so early. There's no real Web3 game proving out that the world wants Web3 gaming yet. So plenty of time for regulations and these big platforms to adjust, and they just probably won't adjust until the money's there. So it's kind of up to us to pave the way and do things properly.
Absolutely. I think the best thing they could give us at this point is clarity, right? And one way or the other, it's nice to know what the rules are. And so when they keep moving the goalpost, I think it gets a bit difficult. So definitely excited to see that you guys are there. And, I think console is the big next step. So we'll see what happens on console in the next 1 to 2 years. But that's definitely another exciting area because, forget Steam. Steam can go pound sand until they figure out that blockchain is the future of gaming.
Awesome. Well, moving on to League of Kingdoms. So you guys are a massive multiplayer online real-time strategy game, Mort's game. Can you tell us a little bit about what you think Web3 technology can do to improve the Mort's gaming genre in general?
All right, sure. So going back to when we first started, we first decided to our team, our core dev team always was a huge fan of the strategy games like Game of Wars or Rise of Kingdoms and things like that. And that was our first initiative on building the strategy game. But as we develop further into adding the Web3 features, we realized that because of the nature of this MMO strategy game and how the community and the alliances within the game is so important, it naturally fits with the Web3 blockchain gaming styles where the community itself really means something, and their combined effort and the trade between them is really important. So that's how we really thought it was like a golden match made in heaven kind of thing for the RTS game and the Web3 game. So yeah, that's how we started. And as we developed further, we found, we tried out very different, interesting ways to empower the alliances within the game with the Web3 features. One of them is we have something called pledging to your continent thing, which is basically you can pledge, it's kind of similar to how staking works. Basically, you lock in our token, Loca token, into your continent, and by doing so, you not only get individual buffs as in-game items, but also your entire continent actually gets more increase in the resource generation, monster generation, more things to farm, which will help their continent to fight against each other in a more bigger end game content. So that was one of the interesting thing that we have tried on, and it's I think so basically all about this community aspect and what we can add more to this dynamics within the community, within the groups inside the game and between the groups inside the game was really interesting, and the Web3 game definitely helped on facilitating those aspect of the MMORPG game. Yeah, so I still think it is a really interesting match in the space. And also as we are like developing into RPG game as well, we are also really interesting to see how it matches with the RPG theme, with the MMO RPG communities and the Web3 trade and blockchain transactions that can bring in. Yep. I hope I explained myself enough. It's a bit late where I am right now, so I might be blurring a bit, but yeah, that's what we were trying to do.
You're good. We heard you loud and clear and definitely understood. But yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely one of the bigger players that are kind of redefining that genre in the Web3 space. So appreciate you guys, leading the way for all of us, and excited to see what you guys continue to build there. So our next individual question is to Suku. So I was wondering if you could tell us what benefits payment infrastructure companies like what you guys are building can bring to the Web3 gaming and metaverse space.
Sure, absolutely. So there's a few things, and I mean, I think there's already all around major improvements happening in this, and like in the onboarding, the wallet onboarding for Web3 gaming. So I think that's the first big thing, is that like if you're ever going to be able to onboard users from outside of Web3, that they need to have a wallet set up and onboarding that's familiar to them. It can't be, they're not going to want to save their seed or go through other complex process. And then, if they're transferring their assets, I think it works the same way as that is with that as well. If they're so we thought about this a while ago, and this is just one idea. I don't know if this works if this goes into the greater portion of your question, but with Suku Wallet, the one thing we really wanted to do, where we wanted to step into Web3 gaming, was the idea that you would be able to actually distribute Web3 gaming assets directly on Twitter to users. So like users could participate in a quest or a campaign where they were able to actually claim a gaming asset on Twitter. So say it could be a character, it could be an in-game character. We had a few games we were talking to about this. Or it could be a sword, it could be some sort of asset. They could claim that on Twitter just by in the process promoting your platform, tagging, using the hashtag, and then they would be able to instantly, access with their Twitter credentials and then connect to your platform to start playing with that or transfer it in. And I mean, there could even be the potential like for further integration where, that wallet would already exist within a platform, but that was sort of the next line of thinking there. But in general, I think it goes with the entire space and with the issue we're tackling all around, which is just making it as seamless and easy to use as possible. And so that so that people can use it without even having to think about what they're using. I mean, it's like the solution and the use case for blockchain and crypto in gaming is so obvious and simple. It's just a matter of making it palatable for people. Like I still talk to gamers, which baffle me, that they're like, oh, I don't want to have NFTs in my game. That's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I don't know, they're so stubborn with this, this hatred that I don't know where they're even being fed this from, with like all these, misconceived notions about why it's going to make their gaming worse, or somehow it's interfering with their gaming. But, I think once it's to the point where they don't even have to know, let's say, that it's blockchain, then it's obvious win. So I think that's where the benefit could come from just like a complete seamless onboarding, complete seamless user experience, no no even language necessarily about blockchain or about crypto. I mean, replacing like, those type of terms with just like, just NFTs with just digital assets. I think this is like potentially the way, that it could very, very much benefit the gaming space and how we can get there for that broader adoption.
Awesome. Yeah, totally agree. I think, some of the early terminology in Web3 has definitely scared off people, and it's a little bit of an uphill battle now to try to convince people that, that it makes sense and that it actually is consumer focused and all that. But yeah, totally agree with everything you're saying there. And moving on to our final question here, to Pixel Realms. So you guys are an omni-chain gaming platform. Can you please explain to those who may not know what omni-chain infrastructure is and what benefits you think it brings to Web3 gaming?
Of course, yes. Basically, to not to go too deep into something only like developers would understand, is that basically we don't have like exclusive friendship with any of the chains. Like, of course, we have like our favorite chain. Like currently, like our best friend is Say. Because we're excited for their V2. But what it means is that basically we're not putting like any limits. We're trying to connect the Web3 world and the gaming world, and not just divided that we're going to be like serving only these people or these people. Like even for me, like personally, when I got into the whole like NFT thing a little bit late, like last year, and I noticed like they're like camps, like, oh, I'm doing Solana NFTs and I don't talk to you because you're doing like NFTs only on ETH, and you're doing NFTs on Say, so you're a completely different gang. And like then there's like Ordinals gang, and I'm just like, hey, like, there's not so many of us, how about we just like join each other? And I think it's very similar to what like Magic Eden is doing, for example, like supporting all kind of like NFTs. So that's what we're doing for our Launchpad projects. Like we're not limiting to certain kind of like chains. We're trying to implement them as fast as our devs can like keep up and putting it. And same for our like incubated projects. Basically we're kind of like learning the lessons from the Web2 gaming, like there used to be like, oh, there is a PC gaming, and then, like you have Xbox gaming. And I think like Microsoft just like came up with it, like, like you don't need to have Xbox, you just like, you can stream all your Xbox games on PC, you can just stream it on the phone, so they're kind of like removing this exclusivity of where only you can play the games, and or this is place only for this kind of games. And that's what we aim to do also in like the Web3 world, to make the gaming community like more united, not sort of like blockchain dedicated just to one of the chains. And of course, like in the future, it's going to mean that the NFTs are going to be, in-game NFTs would be working from chain to chain and so on. So the possibilities are like big going forward. But what it means currently is that basically we're opening doors to good gaming projects and supporting them and creating them from all the chains out there.
Awesome. Thank you. As somebody who owns NFTs on probably 10 different chains, I definitely see the need for omni-chain approach. Definitely. But I guess before we move
I have
on,
a thought on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am also a proponent of omni-chain, but I do believe that like APIing marketplaces inside of the games will be more popular. Like anything to like not leave the game would be what I see the future as. So whether the assets on this chain or that chain, it should all be aggregated into the marketplaces inside of the games. Cause friction is like the worst part of gaming, right? I don't want to have to go to a marketplace somewhere else to find something. I just want to go to like, the World of Warcraft Ironforge auction place, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I think is the future when you talk about the gaming marketplaces. It's everything inside of the game, built-in engine.
Exactly. And also just like it feels like almost like relearning the same things. Like when I was getting my first ordinals, I was just like, oh, so there's a BTC wallet and there's ordinals wallet. And then I sent my BTC to the ordinals wallet and had to retrieve it and so on. And I'm just like, well, can, somebody just like unify all of these things? So that's why also from like a user perspective, it feels like doing the same thing on a different chain almost feels like learning it, like how to do it all over again. And usually it ends up with me losing some tokens. So that's another thing. We want to like bring one interface to multiple chains.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, just to the point of not having people leave the game, I think some of the biggest advances in that we've seen, at least that I've seen as far as what we're building, is tech stacks that are allowing at least an experience that feels like you're staying in the game. A lot of times there is a little bit of, web magic happening to make it, but you look at platforms like Hyperplay, which we're partnered with, which allow pretty smooth signing of in-game transaction or of transactions in an Unreal client, or some of the infrastructure that's being built by several different companies. I mean, what you guys are building, some of what Sequence is doing, really cool stuff. Third Web, they all have solutions, and I think this issue has probably been worked on, the most in the last year and a half. But if we really do want to have a seamless Web3 experience, we can't ask users to whip out their phone or to go to the browser to do things, and I'm all for, kind of this split signing with social wallets. I think that's fine. I think for the 95% of users, that's going to be perfect, and that's where things are going to go. But I do think there's going to be users who want to keep full custody and want to, be signing transactions and making sure that they're approving things going in and out of their wallet. So I think developing infrastructure that kind of covers the full surface is part of the future of what's going to make this all tick. But on the same token, I think the vast majority of people will just be excited about having the rights that are associated with, owning Web3 objects, whether, digital assets as tokens. And a lot of the complicated stuff can be back-ended. So I do think we need to take a dual approach. And I think the omni-chain, mentality is huge. And I do agree, with Golden Tides that it's going to need to be up to the projects to kind of figure out how to best unite their different deployments for if you're on 3 chains, figuring out, okay, how do you bridge between chains? How do you make sure that there's liquidity on all the different markets for the items? How do you unify, maybe even having a bridging solution built into some of these marketplaces so that you can do true aggregation? And I think games, if they centralize certain aspects of it, might be able to do that, right? Where you get really innovative with, marketplaces and bridging and I think that'll be hard for infrastructure providers to do out of the box. But I think that if games work with infrastructure providers, there's some really cool mechanics that could result from that. And it's something we're actively looking into right now. So I'd imagine there's lots of projects trying to solve these same issues. So we are at the end of the hour. So what I'm going to do, Spencer is going to actually, you know what? I can announce the winners this time. We have our winners for the giveaway, but before we announce the winners, I will say one thing, that there's actually a second post up there, if you check it out, that starts with, to kick off our new The Hideout Show account. If you guys go and retweet that post, you're going to have an additional 3 chances to win Satoshi's crystals, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a second. But that's going to be a drawing that we do in a couple of days. So even if you don't win, even if you don't hear your name announced now, make sure you go and retweet that one, because we will be giving away some more crystals. For those of you who don't even know what a Satoshi's crystal is, that is totally okay. It is the key resource in the Satoshiverse. It is an 1155 mintable NFT, but also an in-game resource, and it is the root of all things forging, optimization. Anything you can do with an item in the Satoshiverse that's important is going to require crystals. So, as we grow, as we progress, these things are going to be key to the game. So definitely make sure that you try to get as many as you can. And if you play the game, you'll be able to get these crystals. If your name is called, or if you win the other giveaway that I just mentioned in the pin tweet, all we'll ask is that you create a Legions 2029 on our account on our website. Takes about a minute. You'll send us that account name, and then we will load the crystals onto your account, and then you can mint them if you'd like, or you can use them in the game. Either way, you will have those crystals. So without further ado, our winners for today are Laughing Colors, someone who's here all the time, so super excited. Congratulations. And Drummer Mom. We've got our two people who have supported from the very beginning and have been here every week. So really glad that we could get that those winners. And then, like I said, there's another 3 chances to win through that post. So make sure to jump on and do that post. And now I will say this. Thank you so much to the speakers who joined us today. I know we are all crazy busy in this space, and it's hard to take an hour out of the day to come and talk about these topics, but we really appreciate that you came on. Thank you to all of the listeners who jumped on and listened live. I know we're going to have a lot of people who watch the replay as well. So definitely thank you to everyone who joins. We do this every week. So if you haven't already, please follow the Hideout account, which is our new account that we just put up a few days ago. We got to go get that blue check mark soon. And then we'll be off to the races. We're going to be doing a bunch of new content around the spaces and just adding to the level of depth that we can get into and really starting to engage more with the viewers. So join us next week, same time, same place. What I'll do now is I will open the mic to any of the speakers who would like to do a quick plug or tell the community about any alpha that's coming. And then once I hear crickets, I will wait about 20 seconds because there's a bit of a delay between the speakers and the audience, and then I will end this space. On our side, all I'll say is jump in the Discord, join the community, download the game. It's free to play, Legions 2029. We're actually going to be pushing a huge update next week, so make sure to check it out. And there's going to be a lot of prizes and things you can win just by playing the game and being early. And that is where I'll leave it. If anyone wants to jump in now, feel free. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining, and we will see everybody next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, great rest of your day. And thank you.